Good morning, I'm Martin McIntyre with Garquest at the Garquest studio. Today we're going to go over setting up a bow fishing bow. The bow I prefer is the Alpine Mako. The reason I prefer this bow is it shoots hard with little draw. You can adjust the draw length and the draw weight very easily in the field. And then for people that are just getting into the bow fishing, I suggest the AMS bow fishing kit. It comes with a reel, 2 arrows, a rest, and a DVD to get you fired up about bow fishing. Now, I don't know how many times that I have been out bow fishing and something malfunctions and I lose an arrow. Well, with this kit, it comes with 2 arrows, so you'll have a backup arrow, so you don't have to stop. And how frustrating would that be? You get out there, you're all fired up and excited, ready to bow fish, you lose your arrow and you have to stop and go to the store and get another arrow. Now, if you have your own bow hunting bow or an old bow hunting bow, you can buy an individual retriever. Then you have to decide what rest you want to shoot and what type arrow you want to shoot. Now, it all works fine, but usually when you buy these individually, they cost a little bit more. Here's a Muzzy, a Grappler 2-prong, and a Stingery. It's all about preference. What type of tip do you like to shoot? Once we open this, we can get the screws, which it comes with. It comes with mounting screws, everything we need to set up a bow. Now, it depends. If you buy a bow fishing kit with the bow, you still have to put it together, so this would come in handy. Okay, the handle is backwards when it's packaged, so you have to take it off and flip it over, which is simple. Just a screwdriver. Nice and tight. Now see, it comes with a nice little package. It comes with 2 extra nocks, the screws, and if, depending on the bow you're using, you have a little spacer here if you need it to bring it off. Okay, take it off, you just spin this, and you've got the string wrapped around here with another slide, which we won't need because the slides are already on the arrow and already hooked up. So we'll take them off in a minute. That over here. Need the rest. Put the rest on first. When I put the rest on, I usually put the rest on so that it is at the front of the bow. It just makes it easier and gives you more space, more brace height, or brace. It's brace height. Get the rest set up so it's sitting right there on the front. You don't have to worry about a knock point yet, but you need to make sure you have the, when you tighten the rest up, you want to look down the arrow and make sure it's straight with the string. It's not cocked to inside or out, so your arrow will shoot straight. Then you need to tighten up the screw that's on the rest. Get that good and tight. Next thing we have to do is put a knot point on. What you do is you get your arrow on there and you get it just above even. Once you get it just above even, then you can put that knot, tighten that knot point down. Sure it's nice and tight. Some people like to shoot two knot points, one on top and one on bottom. I just put one on. Usually that'll do it. There you go. And now you're ready to go out and shoot some fish. Once you get your bow together, you have your video. Underneath your video, it explains your line retainer. That's a little clip here. What you can do is you pull your trigger and you pull that line across there and lock it into place. This prevents the wind from catching your line and taking it all over the place. And then you have your new trigger guard. This is a new addition they've added onto the system, and what it does is keep the line from coming across and getting all tangled up in your reel. Then you have a little booklet. It tells you safety instructions. The safety instructions tells you how to tie an arrow on, and it also talks about not tying to the back of the, using the safety slides, because if safety slides moves from the front of the arrow to the rear of the arrow, and it won't get tangled up in your cables as easily. In the back of the book, it also shows you replacement parts for your retriever. So if you need to order a part for your retriever, you can go in the back of this book, go to AMS and order your parts. And then AMS also threw in a little binder that talks about some of their gear that they have available and their bows that they have available. You get all this with the kit, and can't forget this, an AMS decal with that kit, that the Retriever Pro kit. Now that we have our bow ready to set up and go fishing, let's look at some fish points and how they operate. First we have the Sure Shot Penetrator. Sure Shot Penetrator has a removable tip, so you can always keep it sharp. In order to, once you've punched through the fish, in order to take it off, all you have to do is turn the arrow and the barbs turn backwards. The disadvantage of this is if you're going to pull the fish out and it starts spinning, it can actually spin itself off the arrow. But the advantage is if you're in a tournament and you need to get your arrow back quickly, you didn't shoot all the way through, you don't have to worry about punching it all the way through, especially headshots. All you have to do is turn it a few times and shake that fish right off. The next one we'll look at is the interlock grappler. Interlock grappler is quite a big head. It's got a tip that unscrews. Once that tip's unscrewed, the barbs fall back. You've got to unscrew it quite a ways, and this is the problem with this one. If you're not careful, you'll unscrew it too far and you'll lose your tip. Pull it back that far, comes back, pulls out. See, if you have to pull it all the way off just to get it out of the fish, that's a time consumer. So during a tournament, that's a big disadvantage. But it does have punch all the way through. You do have a good holding. Then we have our warhead. This is an old conventional, been around for a long time. Shoots into the fish, opens up, hold the fish. Now in order to release it, you have to lay the barbs down a little bit, turn it a couple times, and they'll go backwards. Same disadvantage as the other one. If you're not careful, the barbs are not held tight, you can spin off, the fish will actually spin off the arrow. This one does not have a replaceable tip, so you have to keep tightening your tip if you dull it by shooting into rocks or what have you. Then we have a stingray. Stingray is excellent for stingrays. It's got good holding power. Once you punch all the way through, these barbs will hold. Has a tip that you can remove and replace. Keep the tip nice and sharp. Another disadvantage, you shoot all the way through a buffalo. Buffalo starts spinning and it will literally spin itself off. So you can lose big fish. Plus another disadvantage of this arrow is you have to penetrate all the way through, or at least in this far, to get it to grab. See how much tip it has to penetrate. Then the river point. River point's a nice, inexpensive, great for kids. But if you shoot a big fish, you can break the barbs off, and in order to take a fish off this tip, you have to literally unscrew it all the way and pull it out. Then you have to put it back together. So if you're shooting tournaments, that would be a big disadvantage. And then we have the muzzy tip. Muzzy pushes through and it locks. It locks one way or another. Now, when you're taking a fish off the muzzy, you have to make sure it's in line in order to loosen the tip. The tip is one of those ones you can change up. You can also get a gar tip for it, for shooting gar. I prefer sticking with the carp tip. It works for all the fish. Now, you turn it about 3 times and it'll fold backwards, pull the fish off. But the disadvantage of this one, you have to shove this tip completely through in order to take the fish off. So if you just get a body shot and it doesn't go all the way through, you're back there trying to shove the tip all the way through so you can take it out. Now, a lot of guys will just jerk it and pull it out. Well, in that case, they will bend the barbs. All these tips It depends on your priority, what you're shooting, and your preference, what you like. What I have done is I've shot all these tips, and I decided which one I shoot, and I stick with it. I stick with the Muzzy for the most part. Now, I have been shooting this Sure Shot Penetrator recently because when I shoot a fish, if I don't go all the way through, I can just spin the arrow in the fish and I take it off. It's fast and easy, convenient. I don't even touch the fish. So you can decide for yourself, get out there and shoot, and decide for yourself which tip would you prefer.